All right, so we'll get started. My name is Jillian Abraham, and I'm a holistic nutritionist and organic farmer. So I have 4 years of advanced training as a regenerative health practitioner, along with a few other health and wellness certifications. And from this lens, a plant-based way of eating is the focal point of healing. I've experienced this on my own health journey, and I've witnessed dozens upon dozens of others just feel better in all the ways with eating a higher plant-based proportion in their diet. At the same time, I stand apart from the majority of my field in the way that I support myself and my family and also my clients. And that's because I believe that we all have our unique balanced way of living. And that includes with how we get our protein sources. So it's not just eating vegan, it's not just eating carnivore, it's really finding your way and finding the way that brings you joy and allows you to fall in love or continue to be in love and just really enjoy eating food. So Jen and I work together to support our clients, and it's probably no surprise to you that when we eat cleaner and when we nourish our bodies with more intention, we feel better. And not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And this is really the first of a series of talks that we're going to be presenting on the pillars of health. So the first thing my clients always ask me, as soon as like a bond of trust has been formed, is what do I do? And I'll get to that in a little bit of like how I eat personally, just to give you an example. And I'm really going to stress always in all of these talks that none of us are perfect, and we should never achieve or try to achieve perfection because it doesn't exist. It just makes us feel like shit trying to be that thing up there that we see or think that other people are. So yeah, food is meant to be eaten in a clean way and to sustain our health, and protein plays a huge part in that. So for today, you can chime in. Donna, just really chime in with any questions or shares on your life.
Okay.
And we're just going to cover what protein is really quickly and how you can access and create a balanced diet for you to make sure you're getting enough protein for your body to thrive, and what that might be, like what that amount might be. So first, I'd love to ask both of you, what is your primary health goal for, I don't know, maybe just this summer? Is it, we'll put it into 3 categories, I guess: weight loss, muscle building, or just overall vitality and energy for your life? So A,
For
B,
me,
or
it's
C.
the energy. I am just still being treated for Lyme, but had a real lack of energy the last 6 months. And so what I was like in December to what I am now, I'm trying to regain some of that by being careful about what I eat, gradually increasing my activity level, that type of thing. That's definitely the focus for me.
Great. So yeah, I'll keep that in mind as I spew some information, and you can use that when we do our protein formula.
Okay.
And Jen, I saw you put something in the chat.
So it's kind of out of character for me to say that I want to be a different size, but I'm curious about my capacity to be limitless about this. And so I've opened up to a lot of limitless possibilities with my strength training and my mind's ability to change. So I'm going to go for it because I got a wedding in April. So I'm going to fit into a size 8. And I'm just kind of curious if my body will do that with all the intentionality. Not from a like external reason other than just wanting to be light and lightness, and just that's a size that I'm comfortable with from the past, that I'll just see how that goes. Not with a huge attachment to it, but a freedom and fun and flow quality.
I like that. I love your freedom, fun, and flow. And I have a really good friend who says light, fit, and free. So yeah. And to feel better in, like we've always said together, just feel better in our clothes. And if that comes with a size, like all the better of a challenge done with fun. So protein in itself is an essential macronutrient. And I usually spend time talking more about the micronutrients because that is the basis of plants. And also we forget about them a lot, especially when you just go to the doctor, to your primary, or even to a dietitian or nutritionist. It's always about the macros. So I usually concentrate on the micros. But these macros, protein specifically, is so important. It plays a huge part in tissue building and repair, enzyme and hormone production, the communication pathways, on a day-to-day, our immune system resiliency. So protein plays a huge part in how we feel, and the energy that we have, and the size that we are, the strength that we have. And it varies how much we need based on how old we are, our sex, our activity level, and what our goals are too. I come from an 80-20 philosophy in life, and with food, what we're talking about today, that would mean 80% plants and 20% animal proteins. Some people who don't eat animal proteins at all, that's great. And I've done that before. And I do think there's a place in that for everybody temporarily. It's how I have healed my body in different ways, doing some detoxing and cleansing and omitting animal proteins. For those of us who choose to bring animal proteins in, I do, no matter what, almost recommend the 80-20 lifestyle with plants and animals. And the reason for that is because it's a strategy to prevent acidosis in our body. And when I mean by acidosis, I mean our bodies being more acidic. And we can maintain a more alkaline body via the foods we eat, also the environments we put ourselves in, but the foods we eat is what we're talking about today. So by that, I mean how a food chemically is in composition within our body. So whether it turns to an alkaline ash or an acid ash is how that would be said. Plants, most of them, are an alkaline ash in our body, whereas meat, dairy, and even processed grains are more of an acidic ash within our body. And with being more alkaline, we will have less inflammation and less of a strain on our organs. And with that, we'll have healthier cells, healthier tissues, healthier organs, healthier body. So I'd love to do the formula with you, and just to like get a number on things, because I think that's helpful. Like how much protein in the nutritionist world, dietetics world, do we need to just kind of gauge how much we could try and get, and how that would feel if we were to reach that number. The way we do that is by taking our weight and dividing it by 2.2, because that's going to give us our weight in kilograms. And that's the formula, I know. So you want to take your weight and divide it by 2.2. I can do this on a calculator if you want me to also. And then you're going to
do that for me.
Yeah.
165. Yeah. Thank you.
Of course.
Okay.
And then based on your goal, you're going to multiply it by a certain number. So I will put this in the session notes, like in Resilient Practitioner with a PDF, but just so you know, Donna, the goals, it's health maintenance, muscle gain, or fat loss. And it's a range of protein per kilogram of weight. So that's why we use the kilogram.
Okay.
So I will just kind of give you the answer, and then I'll have a PDF that I'll dump into Resilient Practitioner.
Okay.
So your 165 is 75 kilograms.
Okay.
75 kilograms, you want to go times 0.8, and that's 60 grams per day. If you have an active lifestyle or are over 40 or 50 years old, you can increase that a little bit.
Okay. I'm
If you,
yeah.
okay. So I would say, if you were my client, I would say, let's go for 75 grams of protein per day and see how you feel. And we can play with this. And I can also, I'm going to give you some recipes and talk about food specific, what that could look like. If you strength trained or were doing exercise regularly, you want to increase that even more. And this is where it does get challenging to get enough protein in your day. So we're going to say 75 grams, Donna. See how you feel on that.
Okay.
You would, if you were strength training with a personal trainer, like doing some resistance training, walking every day, I would say up to 80. So that's about, that's about where I am, is I actually shoot for 100 grams. So how do we, Jen, do you want to do yours before I keep going?
Yeah, my number is 81. I'm guessing my weight, but so 81 was the 2.2.
Okay.
Right? You said divided by 2.2?
Yep, divide by 2.2.
So it was 81. So then what do I do with that number?
So you would choose a category: health maintenance, muscle gain, or fat loss.
Fat loss.
So multiply it, we'll say by 2.
So 81 divided by 2, multiplied by 2. 162.
100 and what?
162.
Okay, that's really high. So 162. So I would say 150. And this is where
150
really
grams.
hard. That's really hard to get. When you're going for fat loss or weight loss, you want to increase your protein. Knowing you don't need to lose that much weight. Like if you are my client, I would play with this number with them and say, like I am right now, actually, why don't you strive for 120? Just like I said to Donna, guessing that you walk, I would know you better if you were my client. Guessing that you walk, maybe you do some exercise. We're also in summer. So if you garden at all, you move around, you want to increase. So we kind of play with it. And then you shoot for it, aim for it, and you observe. Because really it's about how you feel. This is a good number to kind of start with, to gauge. But then it's all about observation of self. Do you have energy? How's your digestion? Are you full? Are you satiated? Are you bloated? And that has a lot to do with how you're eating protein. So that's kind of the next conversation, is like, okay, so what do we eat? Especially if we're trying to go more plant-based. So my recommendations on that is always lean into lentils, black beans, edamame. If you eat soy, tempeh, and tofu, we're lucky in Vermont. We do have local tempeh company called Rhapsody. Tofu, I think it's Green Mountain. Quinoa, chia seeds and hemp seeds, almonds. And then the next layer is a lot of people don't digest those the greatest. Sometimes it's hard for people to digest dried legumes, nuts and seeds. I know I always used to get really bloated anytime I would eat those foods. And then I started learning how to use them, how to prepare them, I should say. So I really recommend soaking and what's called activating. So you can soak. I have a soaking chart. If it's non-resilient, I'll put it in there. And just start soaking your nuts and even soaking your grains, legumes, even soaking your nuts. So say almonds. I soak them and then I use them for smoothies, sauces, dips. Or I soak them and then put them in the oven at 175. If you have a dehydrator, even greater. I don't. So I just put them on a sheet pan at 175 and dehydrate them or toast them. And then I put them in a glass jar on my counter in my fridge or in a cupboard. So that just is a better way. I'm all good, better, best. That's a better way of eating your plant-based protein sources because they become more digestible. And also another thing is you absorb more nutrients out of them. So it's better nutrient
how long
absorption.
do you soak them? Or it probably varies depending on what you soak, right? Or does it?
Yeah, it does. It varies depending on what the food is. Hi, Bernadette. So almonds you soak longer than cashews because there are, you can kind of, there are harder nuts. Black beans you soak longer than lentils, right? Lentils are much softer.
Right.
So yeah, I'll put my chart in there and you can look. Okay. And it's also like, I really want to stress everything about food should be with ease and not perfection. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't need to be done perfectly. It's just like the little bit more that we weave in and learn and then do or try to do, it's going to be better than whatever we were doing before. So if it says 6 hours, it's okay if it was 4.
Yeah.
And it's okay if it was 9. Like it doesn't need to be done to the T. So great. All those foods have a ton of protein. What do we do with them? It's, a lot of people are like, that sounds like a lot of work. How do you make those things taste good? Where do I even get these ingredients? So I always recommend our co-op. There's bulk sections. It is really important in my work we should be eating organic food or as much as we can. If the co-op is not easy, I love Thrive Market. It's an online marketplace that the prices are comparable, if not less, and it comes to my door. So I don't have to shop for a gazillion things with the co-op. If you're choosing to eat local animal proteins, support your local farmers and know their practices and know that they're actually raising their animals, which is a thing to be concerned about, not just buying in animals and bringing them to the slaughterhouse, and know what they're feeding them and that they're actually on pasture, not just in confined areas. And yeah, and always, I think the most important thing that I work with clients on is how we eat proteins, what we're eating proteins with, whether they are plant or animal proteins. Bring in the greenery. So we're going into the summer, like bring in every kind of green imaginable. Like in the springtime, it's dandelion and claytonia, and then you get into the mustard greens. Head lettuces are now ready in a lot of farm stands. Kale, spinach, like all the different greens. Don't just get stuck on one. It's really important to always have a variety of those. And fresh herbs, like pretend fresh herbs are a major food group. So like parsley, cilantro, dill. Greens are the food group. I call them a food group because they should be, that you can eat with any other type of food. Whereas we really don't want to be eating some foods like animal proteins with starchy vegetables like potatoes, which is the opposite of the standard American way of eating, and a lot of other cultures actually. So bring in the greens.
Thank you. Thank you.
Um,
So good. I've got to
Yeah,
check out just to transition to the next meeting I have, but I'm going to be using lots
yeah,
of,
Jen.
I'm going to be doing lots of greens. I am totally gung ho, and I'm also excited about lentils and beans.
Yes.
So thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
Bye.
It's good to see you.
Bye. So how I cook with those, I have a few recipes, and I'll bring in more to Resilient Practitioner. But soups, curries, stir fries, salads. I'm all about, like, you can make a salad and get 35 grams of protein in that salad, which is a lot of protein. And then if you put it in a wrap, you can make your own wraps, or you can go to the store, and there's lots of different companies around that have really good quality wraps. I just found some the other day going into like a random Shaw's or Tops. Like, it was like the local store that I typically don't go into. They have really not much organic anything. And these weren't organic, but the company was called Be Well. And there's, I think, 14 grams of protein per wrap, 11 grams of protein per wrap, depending on the type you got. So it's like getting creative and trying new recipes, which I have a ton of those for you, and just making like a big grain salad with lots of chopped up vegetables and some lentils, and then putting it in a wrap with a homemade dressing that you made out of soaked cashews or sunflower seeds. And then you have multiple meals that can be eaten in all different ways, with really a lot of protein. So looking throughout your day, the way that I teach people to try new things is always starting your day with lemon water, and then going to your green juice, because I get a lot of clients on juicing, or at least smoothies. And then after green juice, maybe you have your smoothie. We're front loading hydration. We're getting that lymphatic system flowing. We're getting yesterday's waste out before we're stacking more food on in. And that smoothie can be packed with protein. You can have soaked almonds in there. Like, I have a great blueberry smoothie recipe that's blueberries and banana and unsweetened almond milk and hemp seeds and soaked almonds, cinnamon. And then on top of that, you can put in a protein powder. And I always recommend Purium because I know the company really well, and it's the highest quality. Like, I'm the biggest critic on packaged anything, but this is beyond organic. And their dark berry protein powder, which is the one I typically use myself, it's 13 grams of protein. And then I have my almonds and my hemp seeds, which is another 8 grams of protein. So and then what we forget is protein is in every living tissue. It's in plants. It's in our fruits and especially our vegetables. So there's always a couple more grams of protein we're getting in, every food that we eat. So that smoothie ends up being like a 25 to 30 gram protein smoothie to start my day. And then if I'm eating eggs, I always have I eat a lot of food. I'm very active, but like after my smoothie or my client's smoothie, maybe I'm eating eggs and I have a couple scrambled eggs with a bunch of spinach and fresh herbs and garlic or onion. And that's another, really good serving of protein. if I'm not eating eggs, maybe I have the hearty seeded bread, which is like flax seeds and psyllium husk and sesame seeds and every seed and not imaginable in that recipe, with some tahini or almond butter or avocado. Granola bites are another thing that I've actually made on, I think the recording and recipe is in school. Each granola bite, and they're really tiny, is 5 grams of protein. I eat 3 of those at a time, kind of like the size of a granola bar. So that's 15 grams of protein in just oats, your nut butter of choice, raw honey, chia seeds, hemp seeds, and you can even add some protein powder into those granola bites. And then you have your grain salad, like a red lentil or a red quinoa salad. And then for dinner, I would have something like a curry, like the black lentil curry or red lentil curry, which is 20 grams of protein per serving. So that's kind of like the day in a nutshell of how to get to 100 calories, 100 grams of protein, way more than 100 calories. How does that feel, Donna? Is that like, whew, that's a lot of food or?
Well, I was really curious about breakfast, especially because I have a hard time, other than protein powder, I only seem to want fruit. My stomach doesn't kick in for some reason, but maybe the lemon juice and the green juice first would help.
Yes, 100%. It gets your digestion moving and it gets your lymphatic system flowing, gets you eliminating, which that's one of the main reasons that our systems don't activate to want breakfast, is because we haven't eliminated everything we consumed the day before yet.
Okay.
So to get those things moving, activated, lemon water, green juices, if you juice yourself, amazing. If not, there are lots of juice companies out there. You can even go to Shaw's now and get the Suja green juice in a big jug. It's organic, cold pressed. So there's all these levels, right? And it's like the good, better, best. Go to Shaw's and get the Suja. Find a local juice company. Buy a juicer and juice. So we kind of like bring our way up as far as we have interest in going with all of these things.
Yeah. And that to me makes more sense. And then I like scrambled eggs with lots of veggies, even as a snack, right? Before lunch.
Yeah.
Depending how active I am or if I'm busy, a smoothie or whatever. But I liked sort of the flexibility of what you're saying too. But to start with lemon water and green juice, it just really struck me. Might help a lot.
That's the number one thing on like an intake session. I'm like, this is your first step, lemon water.
Great. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot to think about, but I like what you're saying. And as far as paying attention to how we feel, feeling full, what were the other things that I should notice if I'm getting enough protein?
Feeling satisfied is first, with not just protein in general, right? Feeling satisfied. Feeling at ease is like, right? That's how I open the call. Like we need to, like, even if we're working hard at making change, it shouldn't feel like this.
Okay.
Right? There should be some ease in it. So feeling ease with anything that we're doing. Physically though, are we feeling bloated? Because that's sometimes like the food combining. Or eating too much of one thing. And that's where the variety comes in. Are we feeling like we have energy, or are we getting a slump? Also being realistic about that. You know, we're going, at least me, going from winter, I'm way more sedentary than summer. And like, obviously I'm going to be tired at 3 p.m. if I've been going strong all day.
Yeah.
But if we're tired at 10 a.m. and don't have energy at noon, that's something to, right? Like that's something to consider.
Okay.
What else? Are we constipated? or the opposite, right? Like changing anything in our diet is going to, throw us a little bit sometimes, but it should balance out to like being comfortable.
Okay.
So being mindful of that. I said bloated, and just, full,
Great.
not too full.
This has been great. I really appreciate that. It's a lot to think about in a short time, but
Totally, I
it's a
know.
good,
And it's like, it's hard for me to not go into the science too, but then that's, your head's exploding.
yeah.
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 Chia seed pudding is another one that is so easy and so quick to make. And chia seeds are really high in protein. You get 7 grams in just a tiny little mason jar of literally chia seeds, almond milk, maybe with some maple in there. That's it.
Okay. Great.
Yeah. Stir it up or put the top on and shake it, put it in the fridge, or put 4 of those in the fridge and have them throughout the week. You can like grab them and go outside or in the car or on the couch, like whatever.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're going to put recipes where? Where are we going to find those?
Do you know how to use the chat on
Yes.
Zoom?
Yes.
If you want to put your email in the Zoom chat, I will email you them directly.
Okay.
Bernadette, if you have interest, you can do that too. Otherwise, they will go into, there's a recipe tile in Resilient Practitioner.
Okay. Yes. I'm familiar with that now that you say that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And then for those who will be listening to the recording, or if you have interest in being part of my program, I have a school platform also that has a lot of recipes, and they're in there too.
Okay.
So
Hi, Jill.
yeah. Hi, Bernadette. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm at work, so obviously I'm not getting involved too much here. But you had mentioned my name about, what did you say, Bernadette? Something I missed it.
Oh, if you want to put your email in the chat, I can email you recipes directly.
Okay, you have my email. That's how I saw this little thing came up. So I don't know.
I do. Yep, I do. So I'll just get into my
Yeah, because that's
my
I
thing.
was late.
That's
I
fine.
saw it and I was like, oh, I should pop in. I had a minute, and then I got busy right after that. Yeah. So you do
That's
have that.
totally fine. I
Okay.
do.
All right. I'm gonna.
Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah, no problem. I
Yeah.
just.
Yeah. Yeah. And the salads, I'd like really lean into those and get creative with them. You know, you can use recipes, but also like just have a base, like your mixed greens, and then maybe your cooked lentils or leftover quinoa, and then just like add some tomato or scallion or Kalamata olive, whatever, chopped up broccoli, whatever you like.
Okay.
And if you have a high speed blender, which if you make smoothies, you probably do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Make your own dressings, like soaked nuts and seeds, and make a great, protein dense dressing. And if it's not in there, I'll put it in, but the kale Caesar, vegan kale Caesar dressing is pretty phenomenal, and is packed, the base of it is sunflower seeds.
That sounds great. That's something I've never thought of, packing the dressing with protein.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like a salty, yummy thing on
Yeah.
quinoa or lentils or
Yeah.
even greens, because
Right.
you need to keep it interesting, and or
Yeah.
else, at least for me, then I'm going for the potato chips or like,
Right.
something else to satisfy that.
Yes. And what a great season to delve into this and try a few
Yes.
new recipes. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I guess my only thought on breakfast is you can make pancakes, like not like the pancakes that, are at the diner, but pancakes with almond flour and coconut flour and flaxseed, chia seeds, almond milk, And if you want to use an egg in there, you can, or you could use a flax egg. And then you can put like a cashew coconut yogurt on top and some fresh berries. You don't even need maple. Or maybe you save that for the weekend. But yeah, just like mixing it up. A couple pancakes, like pancakes made with those ingredients, that would be about 10 grams of protein. So it's when you bring in these other ingredients and diversify them, like really, it's kind of like stocking your pantry, stocking your fridge in a different way. And then you have it all. And you just like try one recipe. And if you like it, keep it and put it in rotation. And then try another one. And then all of a sudden you have 12 new recipes like in your rotation that are really healthy and for this topic, packed with protein.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And if I have questions or would like to work with you, that would be, where do I find, I know your name.
Yeah.
Where do I find you?
Yeah. The easiest would probably be just my website is just my name.
Okay.
And there's a way to just like email me on there, or like book a discovery call.
Okay.
Or I'm going to put my phone number in the chat right now.
Okay.
And texting me is great.
Thank you.
Yeah. Great to meet you, Donna.
Yeah, you too. I really have enjoyed this. Got a lot of good ideas.
That's what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Do either of you have any questions before we say goodbye and sign off?
I sort of missed the beginning, but you said you're going to send a replay, so I'll look at it, and if I have any questions, I'll let you know.
Okay, perfect.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Bye, Donna.
Bye.
Bye, Bernadette.